The Hawks Crimes Against the State Unit, otherwise known as the Cats, believe they've caught a suspected senior leader in the Islamic State terrorist network, operating right out of Johannesburg's inner city. 39-year-old Abubakar Ali appeared in the city's magistrate's court today to apply for bail after he was recently arrested in the Fordsburg suburb on a charge of carrying an unlicensed firearm. We cross to the courthouse with News 24's Tankiso Makhetha next.
His responsibility, according to my sources, is to gather funds that are going to be transferred to other countries like the DRC and Tanzania, working with other cells as well in those areas. And those funds are obviously for whatever operations that they are planning. He's also linked to 5 other suspects who are appearing in court on the 11th of June as well.
Later in the show, government's new licensed lottery operator promises a jackpot shakeup, but a court case ensues. And finally, a viral Cape Town teen opens a sweets and chips business to pay for his upcoming matric ball.
To stay tuned to The Lead for every edition, hit the follow and subscribe buttons on our Spotify, Apple, and YouTube podcast channels.
You can also get in touch, mail us thelead@24.com. My name's Graham Robenheimer, your host. Let's chat all this and more right here on The Lead on News 24. Could this be the breakthrough in terrorist activities investigations that South Africa's authorities have been hoping for the longest time? Well, the May arrest of Abubakar Ali has certainly come as a surprise to his neighbors in Fordsburg. So what do we know about this alleged ISIS leader based in southern Africa? Sources tell our journalist Tankiso Makhetha that the sting operation follows years of Ali keeping a very low profile underground. Now, Tankiso joins us live from the Johannesburg Magistrates Court now for the very latest. Thanks so much for your time. I really do appreciate it, and welcome to your debut edition of The Lead.
Thank you, Graham. It's nice to be here.
Absolutely. Bail proceedings happened today. Before we get into the very latest there, Tankiso, you spoke to some of Ali's sort of Fordsburg neighbors in the area. How did they react to the news of this recent sort of sting operation and arrest in the middle of this quite historic inner city Johannesburg suburb?
So firstly, one needs to take note of the type of area that Fordsburg is and the surrounding suburbs like Mayfair as well. We have residents from other countries, especially Somalia, Ethiopia, probably even Pakistan. So as shocked as they were on the day of the arrest, when I arrived, because I went there, I think a few days afterwards, and they're a close-knit community and they don't talk too much, especially when you bring up topics such as ISIS or subjects such as ISIS. They're very scared of it. I spoke to about, I think 6 or 7 of them. A lot of them said they didn't know Abubakar. They were shocked as well. But in the same breath, they didn't really know him that well because he hasn't been living in that area for quite some time. My understanding is that he relocated from KZN, where he was also facing terrorism-related charges in relation to at the Durban July race in 2018. So he's had a few run-ins with the law, but his neighbors don't really know him that well. So they were shocked, but also they don't want to talk about it because ISIS is a very sensitive topic amongst these communities.
It was a sting operation at the time. What were officers looking for as per your sources, and what did they find in the arrest?
One of my sources told me that the sting operation was born from Operation Chanela, which is basically one of the initiatives used by the police to conduct operations in specific areas to tackle crime. So based on that operation, they gathered intelligence that there was a firearm or an illegal firearm that was being kept at a specific address in Fordsburg. And when they arrived there, that's when they found Mr. Abubakar Ali. And that's what led to his arrest.
I did see that they had found a little bit more than what they bargained for, right? So he was quite willful in giving up the evidence to the authorities, right?
Indeed, apparently he didn't fight the authorities. He didn't cause a ruckus. He just obliged and showed them where the gun was, because the police were actually in the process of arresting someone else, and this person led them to where Mr. Abu Baker lives and informed them that there's an illegal firearm in that house. So that's how the events unfolded on the day.
Tankiso, tell us what your sources are saying about what Ali's alleged role is within this alleged sleeper cell network, if you will. We've heard of and seen many arrests in headlines over recent years, although most of the time it has been sort of sporadic here. Apparently, Ali's some sort of financier, is that right?
He's a facilitator. So what he does, his responsibility, according to my sources, is to gather funds that are going to be transferred to other countries like the DRC and Tanzania, working with other cells as well in those areas. And those funds are obviously for whatever operations that they are planning. So that's his role. He's been on the radar for quite some time, but as you mentioned earlier on that he went underground. He's also linked to 5 other suspects who are appearing in court on the 11th of June as well. They were arrested for kidnapping, and they are allegedly affiliated to ISIS or ISIS's Sharia court office based in Fortsburg as well. So right now, investigations are unfolding. I think they have his devices. They're trying to link them properly to all these other suspects and also link them to any other cells or organizations that are outside of Gauteng. So he plays a very pivotal role because he's been around for a while. So he's knowledgeable and he has experience.
Tankiso, that kidnapping case is related to this apparent Ethiopian businessman, Dagmawi Tsefa in Norwood. I remember that being such a big story at the time. And then there's 2 particular co-accused in that matter, one of them being Mr. Akbar, which we have just mentioned a short while ago, and then Zaid Gangat. These 2 names have come up because the United States Treasury Department has essentially sanctioned them. But it wasn't too clear in your latest report, but I remember that Gangat name coming up because of the Malville New Year's Eve shooting some years back. And so we're roughly talking about the same sort of suspects here. Is that right?
We're speaking about the same organization. My understanding is that Gangat et al. Were on a different mission regarding the kidnapping matter. And Abu Baker is also on a different mission, even though they work within the same cell. So they are linked, and they've my sources tell me that they've worked together in the past. And right now, what the prosecutor did was she asked for the matter to be postponed to the 11th of June as well. So on the 11th of June, we'll have Gangat and Akbar and the others appearing for their judgment on bail. And then we'll have this guy, Mr. Abu Baker, appearing for his bail application, all on the same day, all handled by the same prosecutor.
So in other words, prosecutors and thus the NPA have decided to bring all of these matters into one case. So
not necessarily one case. They are separate cases because he was arrested for a separate matter, which is the possession of illegal firearms. But in the same breath, he's appearing on the same day with Gangat and them, who are expecting to receive judgment on their bail application.
So in other words, they're going to be heard roughly on the same day in the same sort of magistrate's court.
Indeed.
In terms of the same court role. Right. Did we manage to get into any of the particulars of the bail proceedings today, or was it very quick postponement? What did things look like inside court?
It was a very quick postponement. What I noticed was that the same group of people who are supporting Gangat and Akbar and all of them were there as well to support Mr. Abu Baker. That was an interesting fact, which obviously goes back to what the authorities suspected, that Gangat and all those other guys, along with Mr. Abu Baker, are linked. So that was pretty evident. Although the proceedings were very brief, the prosecutor just asked for postponement because the matter was not transferred from the court of first appearances. So it needs to be transferred to the court of bail applications.
So whilst prosecutors sort of get their ducks in a row, if you will, what are sort of like the lingering questions left for you here, Tankiso, as you look sort of closer into this quite murky, quite mysterious realm? You're relying a lot in your reporting to fill in the blanks from your higher police sources. What's left for you to put all of this together after today's events?
What's left for me is actually understanding how the Sharia court offices work, because ultimately these guys all fall under that office. So what I need to do is actually try to find some victims who've been subjected to Sharia court law over the past couple of months or over the past couple of years. If you noticed, the Ethiopian businessman was kidnapped as a result, or rather was kidnapped after he had a meeting with representatives from the Sharia court, right? Over a dispute for rent with his tenants. So my sources have told me that the Sharia court basically extorts foreign national businessmen in Fortsburg and Johannesburg. So I need to find more businessmen who've been extorted, who've had interactions or dealings with the Sharia court, and get a better understanding of how they operate.
Tankiso, tell me, authorities potentially afraid maybe that these Sharia courts start appearing in other parts of South Africa?
One of my sources told me that there are probably other Sharia courts in other parts of the country, but they haven't been able to establish that fact yet, because they haven't received any victims coming forward to say, we've been extorted. But I think it is growing, but not exponentially, because it's quite complicated within these communities. Most of them don't subscribe to ISIS. Most of them don't subscribe to Sharia law, but they're being subjected to laws, affiliated to Sharia. And a lot of community members don't necessarily, they shun the idea of terror organizations like ISIS and Al Qaeda. They want nothing to do with it. So even though it's present, it's not really growing that much. It's just growing in incremental stages, I'd like to believe. So the authorities are trying to dismantle it now before it mushrooms and becomes worse.
And Tankiso, finally, do you know why your authorities and the sources are sort of telling you that mostly it's these local ISIS networks sort of setting up camp within Johannesburg's inner city, past Brixton, those sort of areas? Why? Why there? Do you know?
It's basically just the concentration of foreign nationals in that specific area. Somalians and Ethiopians obviously have a strong presence in that area. So whenever someone else or someone from their community from outside, whenever they come into Joburg, that's one of the first few places that they're going to visit or live in. So there's a high presence of Somalians and Ethiopians, and based on their background and their history and their religion, they are bound to subscribe to the ideology of ISIS and Sharia court.
And that is Tankiso Makhetha, one of our News 24 journalists out on the beat at the Johannesburg Magistrates Court. That's where alleged SA ISIS leader Abubakar Ali appeared in court after that breakthrough arrest just last month by the Hawks CAT unit. Tankiso, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Graham.
To our trending topic now, and expect fewer chances at the jackpot and more smaller turns at the scratch cards. These are the approaches the government's choice of new lottery operator, Sizakaya Holdings, plans to implement soon. According to News 24 business editor Helena Wasserman, the company is also keen on sports pool betting and promises to prepare the state to insource and directly take over lotto operations by the year 2033. But political parties like the EFF and BOSA have already questioned the procurement and bidding process for Lotto's latest licensee. Sizakaya's main shareholder is Gold Rush, an online casino group. It's linked to businessman Sandile Zungu, who previously vied to be ANC provincial chairperson in KwaZulu-Natal. But Sizakaya's chairperson, Moses Tembe, has rubbished any suggestions of cronyism behind their successful bid. Still, the company, which is teaming up with Glenlot, China's largest lottery tech provider, faces a challenge in the courts from unsuccessful bidder Winner Njalo, which won a May ruling that says the recent license awarding decision is thus invalid. In the interim, Trade and Industry Minister Parks Tau says a sister company of the current operator, Ituba Holdings, will temporarily run the lotto for the next year. He's also appealing the ruling. And finally, it's the final hurrah. It's the all-important bash to mark the end of a long schooling career. For Mitchell's Plain grade 12 pupil Rudolf Lakay, attending his school's October matric ball is a must, even though his mother, Rosaline, a pensioner, won't be able to afford it. So Lakay wakes up at 4:30 every morning to sell sweets and chips at the nearby taxi rank before taking the bus to Florida High School in Ravensmead. The 18-year-old knows his proud mom would do anything for him to pitch at the dance in style. But tells News 24's Leslie Solomons it's been difficult financially. So last Christmas he took his present money of $150 to buy his initial wholesale snack inventory. Since then, he's been able to make up to 600 Rand a day, with the hope of hitting the 10,000 Rand mark by September to pay for the ball, his suit and choice of car. Lakay says his mom is his life, and he helps out by buying bread and milk where he can. Together, the pair's even searching for business studies university options next year. Now, if you'd like to assist Lakay, who recently went viral in a video showing his daily morning ritual, then feel free to contact feelgood@news24.com and we'll put you in touch. From suspected ISIS arrests to a lottery license shakeup, it's a new week in Mzansi with plenty to talk about. You'll recall our last show from Thursday last week was with Andrew Thompson, our desk editor at the Disinformation Desk, and he found this quote-unquote hornet's nest of fake news, an Indian digital marketing company that's been spurting out all sorts of fake news about SASSA grants, about congestion taxes, and various other misleading articles. Thank you so much for listening to that show. We've got some comments. Tyrant writes, fake news travels so quickly because critical thinking has become extinct, quote unquote. And Rockhaven writes, at what point does free speech become malicious, harmful, or economically damaging to others, and therefore to be prosecuted? At one time, stealing a pencil from your employer warranted dismissal, i.e. there were consequences for unsocial behavior. Thank you so much for getting in touch there. We look forward to any more of your mails. You can send us anything on top of your mind, including your voice notes, thelead@24.com. And if you'd like to be reminded of our upcoming editions this week, you can hit the follow and subscribe buttons on our Spotify, Apple, and YouTube podcast channels. My name's Graham Robenheimer, your host, and so long as there's news, we'll have the lead.